Gas prices might be high right now, but that hasn't stopped pickup truck buyers from demanding V8 engines. So what does Ford do? It keeps the price low, but bring the style high. Say hello to the F-150 Lobo. You're watching Autoblog, and in this video, I'm gonna show you one of the coolest versions of America's best-selling trucks that won't break the bank. So as I mentioned in the intro, the Lobo is a new trim level of the F-150 that Ford added for the 2026 model year. It's basically a street truck version of the F-150. Think Lightning, but now it's not a supercharged truck, although you can actually get one of these with a supercharger. I'll talk about that a little bit later. The Lobo name, if you're wondering where that comes from, it actually has a history in Mexico, believe it or not, south of the border. So the Lobo name was actually attached to the nicer, more personal use versions of the F-150 to differentiate them. So if you bought like a work truck version of this vehicle, the F-150, it was badged as an F-150. But if you bought like a King Ranch or a Platinum, it wasn't badged as an F-150 at all. It was actually badged as a Lobo, which is super interesting. So completely different meaning here. Instead of being a luxury truck, now it is a street truck. You can also get a Lobo version of the Maverick, which is really cool. So they have now 2 street trucks in their lineup, and I am looking forward to them doing more. So you do get some really cool street truck elements. You get a very special grille here on the Lobo, kind of this honeycomb mesh grille. We also have different unique marker lights here in white. I hope they come through on the camera. We've got the black Ford logo, lots of black accents here. We've got a different bumper here on the Lobo as well. These cool black 22-inch wheels that are different than what you would get on the regular STX trim that this is based on. As you saw, we get a special Lobo side badge here. We also get a cowled hood here as well. Interesting on the Lobo. This truck is lowered by about 2 inches in the rear. I think it's 2 inches overall, but Ford did specify in the rear on the Lobo. So overall, this is like a pretty cool styling truck out of the box. You do get dual exhaust as well, which sounds good because the Lobo is only available with the 5-liter V8. No twin turbo EcoBoost here. And now let's step inside the Lobo, where I want to point out again, this is based on the STX trim, a very lower trim of the F-150. So if you're buying one of these trucks looking for a ton of amenities, there are nicer versions of the F-150 where you can still get a V8. This is not it. This is kind of your style package, your cool truck that just doesn't have a lot in it. We get upgraded but cloth seats that are manual. You don't get a power seat here, but it is just a little bit nicer than the base cloth seat. We get kind of the plasticky vinyl steering wheel, and you get one of these to start it up. That's right, you don't even get push button start on a Lobo. You turn a key. Some people are really gonna love that. Other people are not so much, but you do still get some other nice features. You get the digital gauge cluster, you get the big nice screen, you get a nice little cubby here, you get plenty of buttons and knobs down here, big, nice, easy to grab, manual climate control, manual fan speed. We do have 4-wheel drive, which is included in the Lobo package, so that kind of gets added when you option up to a Lobo. We've got the big, nice column shifter. I think a lot of people are really going to love that as well. And then we've got a pretty nice center console as well, our cup holder here, our little phone slot here, nice storage here. I think people are really going to love that as well. And you also have your little flip out area here. Because we don't have that big shifter here, you can kind of put this nice table out of the armrest at any time you want, because the column shifter is always up here. And you can turn that into a nice workstation with your laptop. So this is a very functional truck, and it just doesn't have as many features as what you would get for some other trucks. You could definitely get a lot more than this for about the same price as the Lobo, but this thing is all about style and performance. So time to find out how sporty the F-150 Lobo is out on the road. And under the hood, we've got the V8 in the F-150, the 5-liter Coyote. It's got 400 horsepower and 410 pound-feet of torque. Those are good numbers, but by all accounts, they're nowhere near the best that you can get in an F-150. You can get more from an EcoBoost twin turbo V6. You can get more from the supercharged Predator V8, and you can get more from other engines in this segment. Ram has more from its Hurricane inline 6. GM has more from its 6.2 liter V8 and its upcoming 6.7 liter V8. So while this is not the most powerful engine in its segment, it's a pretty darn good one. It gets off the line just fine. I've actually put the truck into sport mode, so why don't we figure out how quickly it gets off the line. That puts us into four-wheel drive. I'll go ahead and do a brake stand here, and let's get us off the line. Sounds good. It's throaty, little over 6 seconds to 60. So pretty quick, not the quickest I've gotten a Lobo. If you want to go faster, Ford Custom Garage will sell you a supercharger kit called the FP700S that'll boost this thing up to about 700 horsepower if you've got about 27 grand in your pocket. Pretty expensive package, but you can get a Lobo for 27 grand extra on top of the truck with 700 horsepower. That would be pretty cool, right? But other than that, there's really not that much to say about this truck. It's a 5-liter Coyote V8 F-150. They've upgraded the 2-speed 4-wheel drive system a little bit, so you get some improvements there if you are trying to do little drag races like I just did there. You get a 2-inch lowering kit like I mentioned on the exterior. Does that really do much for you in terms of handling? Not really. This is still a big giant pickup truck. As we come into a corner here, we've got this big giant plasticky steering wheel here, and I do not suddenly feel like I am now driving a Mustang. I still very much feel like I am driving an F-150, but I do hear from a lot of people that they love driving these F-150s actually instead of Mustangs in terms of building these into like really cool drag race cars because they're just really big. You can build them into like a lot of power. It's like a cheaper way to get a Coyote V8 instead of buying a Mustang. And the Lobo does look really cool. So I imagine like if you just want something cool with a V8 engine that can fit your whole family, a Mustang is completely out of the option, and you just want something that looks great and doesn't break the bank. You don't need like a ton of features and a ton of luxury. This Lobo is the package that could offer it to you without breaking the bank. So that was the Ford F-150 Lobo, a cool, albeit rather basic street truck. So if you're just looking for a lot of style and you don't really need a ton of features in your pickup truck, this is a pretty good way to go, and it's relatively affordable. Because a base STX is going to run you about $42,000. That's how Ford was able to keep the price down on the Lobo. The Lobo package costs $4,700, but you don't just add that to an STX because there's a lot more that kind of comes configured with a Lobo. You get a crew cab, you get 4-wheel drive as standard. So a Lobo is going to run you about $60,000 with destination. That's basically as cheap as you can get one of these trucks, which really isn't that bad considering there are really no other street trucks with a V8 on the market like this. The Lobo really has the market to itself right now, but it won't for very long because Ram is coming back out with the Rumblebee, which is going to be a really cool street truck. There's actually going to be 3 versions of that truck, one with the 5.7 liter Hemi, one with the 6.4, and one with the supercharged Hellcat motor. Now those other 2 are going to be way more powerful and more expensive than the Lobo, so we don't really count those right now. And the only way to get a Ford F-150 with that much power is what I mentioned from the Ford Custom Garage, which doesn't really count. So we're really looking at that base Rumblebee, which is going to have the 5.7 liter Hemi with 395 horsepower, a little bit less than this, but oh my gosh, does it look cool with that wide body kit and the Shorty with the smaller doors in the back. A little bit less practical than the Lobo, but my gosh, does it look cool. So that'll be a really interesting comparison when both of those trucks are on the market. It's gonna cost about the same as the Lobo, about 60 grand, but destination is gonna make it about 63. So the Lobo will be a little bit cheaper. So I wanna hear from you in the comments. Would you pull the trigger on an F-150 Lobo, or do you think you'll wait for the Ram Rumblebee? If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe to our channel, and check out autoblog.com. I'll see you next time.